can just jump in.
Okay.
Just welcome everybody.
Unless you want to do it.
Well,
Lisa's so good at it.
Yeah, Lisa is. That's true. And they're used to hearing her. Okay, go for it, Lisa.
okay, am I on? Oh, attendees still on hold. So do we wait till 12:01? There's 62 on.
It is 2:01 now. Yeah.
Do I have to take something off, or?
No, you just talk.
But now we're, wait, there's something that has to change.
Our audience, click Start Broadcast. Where's Start Broadcast?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that either.
Oh, here, I see it. Should I go hit it and go?
Mm-hmm.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's PeriData Net Webinar. This is Lisa Locken, one of the co-chairs of the Perinatal Data Committee. Thanks for taking time to meet with us today as we discuss getting some of your data out of the PeriData system. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Alan Cooper, who is going to be kind of running through how to go ahead and use it. So, Alan, take it away, please.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, so basically today's session is going to be a little more focused. It's not a lot about updates per se. It's really just kind of focusing on a few reports, of which is kind of leveraging the Excel application versus the PDF for the other reports that you've been using. So just want to take the opportunity to kind of just show the two new Excel reports that are out there, and I'm going to use that time for people to ask questions as they relate to those. So get started. So the agenda, first, kind of talk through a little bit about the detailed reports in Excel. There's a few things related to that I want to highlight. And then we'll walk through the early elected delivery reports, of which, we're in the system prior to the transition, and now they will be available for everyone to start using in Pentaho, and I'll review that. Then we'll walk through the new detailed data extract report, and I'll talk a little bit about what that is and why you should use that. And then I'll just kind of actually go through it on the live site using our test hospital to kind of show you how they work. So first thing, for the detailed reports in Excel, these are kind of caveats so that people are very much aware of, I don't want to call them constraints per se, but I guess essentially they kind of are. For the Excel reports, you must have 2007 and above Microsoft Excel. And usually the file type that it's looking for is a application for Excel that accepts XLSX as a file type. The other thing I want to mention is that in previous, we're in Discover for some of the Excel reports, you kind of had an all-encompassing kind of Excel file that had many tabs, and because we're using an open source platform for Pentaho, there is a known glitch that we call it, but an issue that makes it kind of, as the tabs go from left to right, and I'll show you everyone what I mean by this, each tab that is onto the right of the other tab basically displays blank rows as there were data on the previous tab type of stuff. So it's a minor glitch, but probably an annoying one possibly for others. So we kind of have alternatives, a workaround for that, and I'll show you both options. And I think what you'll end up doing is whatever seems to be appropriate for the time that you need to look at these reports, and I'll show examples of that. So next is the early elected delivery reports. The location will be under, inside of Pentaho. It'll be the public standard reports, and then underneath there will be another folder called Early Elective Deliveries, and make sure, again, you look for that subdirectory underneath standard reports, and then click inside, click on the actual Early Elective Delivery folder, and then you will see there will be 5 reports that you can choose from. And again, I'll walk through that. Again, there will be 2 different versions. One will be have it where you have each of the tabs in their individual reports, and again, doing it this way allows each of the reports or tabs, if you will, to not have any of those weirdness where you have extra rows, unnecessary extra blank rows when you separate them out. And you may find that that might be a better option for you if you're more focused on one of the tabs mainly, and the other ones are kind of nice to see once in a while, so you may find yourself using that. Or you may find yourself using the multi-tab and working through it, and I'll show you what I would do to work through those things. Again, I'll review that. And then 2 new things we've added to the Early Elective Delivery tab of it, and that's where the details are, is we've added 2 additional columns. One is primary OB provider, and the other is the attendant. And these were kind of requested by kind of the data committee as something that would be very nice to have in these reports, so you can kind of work with the individuals if for whatever reason you need to do so. The next report we call the Detailed Data Extract Report. This is a short-term solution until the custom report functionality is available. And based on numerous requests, whether it's through the kind of the help service side of the world or just being asked through Ann and her team or what have you, there's that need of being able to get to your data in a way that you can do something with it in the meantime to do any custom reports that you may have on your hospital side to be able to fulfill some of the querying that you need to do. Roughly, there's going to be about 400 plus columns in this report, and basically you can kind of envision it being, for the most part, majority of the fields that are in PeriData when you actually complete a birth record. And what I'll show you on this is having it in the fashion of having 400 plus columns, to really kind of work the data. For those that are not familiar with using pivot tables, that could be a very powerful and quick way of getting data that you may be asked to get, or you want to do some digging onto some areas. Pivot tables will allow you to kind of use the data to kind of display some of the information you need to display. All right. So then what we'll do now is get into the actual demo. All right. So I'm already logged in, and as stated before, once you get into Browse Files, you go to Standard Reports, and then, just make sure. Sometimes people don't know, but if you just click on Standard Reports without clicking on the little arrow, you won't see the additional folders. So make sure you click on the arrow, and then you just click on Early Elective Deliveries, the actual folder, and then you will see basically 5 files or 5 reports. So the Early Elected Delivery one is basically the all-encompassing 4 tabs that you used to have in the past in the Excel spreadsheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that one first. And you would open it up like you would open up the previous reports. You would just either open a new window or just open it up. And then what will happen is it'll show you a date range to select from. And let's see here. Take a little bit here. There we go. And then, you basically, if you have more than one facility, you can choose your facility and then just select the date range that you want to pull your information from, and then all you have to do is click View Reports. And if you have Chrome or the similar, like Firefox or something like that, there will be kind of a file at the bottom here you'll see that will you'll be able to open up. If you have Internet Explorer, you'll have a pop-up box that will actually ask you, and this depends on which version of Explorer you have, but if you have a little older version, you'll have something that asks you to either open or save as, and my recommendation is click Save As and save it like on your desktop or create a folder underneath your user profile on your computer and have it saved there, and then once you hit Save, then you should be able to just click Open to open the file. If you click Open instead of doing the Save As, there's a little bit we're trying to figure out. There's a little issue where it thinks it wants to save it on the server, which you can't do. So it'll have like a pop-up box of a login, of which all you have to do is hit Cancel, and it'll pop up again, hit Cancel, and then the report will actually show up. So to avoid that, I would just recommend you do Save As. Now, if you have a little bit newer version of Internet Explorer, there will actually be a third option. So it'll say Open, Save, and Save As. If you just click Save, Save will be just like how Chrome is, where it will put it in an area where it will save, and it will actually allow you to open up the file right away, and you won't have to try to describe where you want to do a Save As. Okay? So anyways, when you get to the point you open, you just open it up, and then this is where it'll show the tab. So you have early elected delivery summary, and then what will happen is these three rows right here, this is if you click on the one that has all the tabs, will be blank for the next report. And then the next 6 rows will be blank on the third tab. And then finally, the early elected delivery will have blank here. So, you know, the quick recommendation is if you kind of want it all-encompassing and you want to get rid of it, I would just recommend you just, you know, delete those rows, you know, if it bothers you. And, you know, until they fix the issue, we're kind of hand-strapped of, you know, kind of having to deal with it. And because it's open source, fixing things on application like Pentaho is it's not as timely as it would be in a more enterprise version. And then anyway, so this is kind of how the report looks. And the only thing we did change because of that little glitch is that elected deliveries tab used to be the third tab, and we moved that to the end because obviously you may have many rows of data, and because of that one issue we have, thought it made sense to kind of move that to the kind of the most right. So if you prefer just to go straight to one of the tabs, you can click on any one of them. So for elected deliveries, you just click it like any other report. You follow the same step. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. So you select the dates that you want, and then just click on View Reports, and then it'll kind of do like with PDF is it'll create a little file at the bottom. If you're doing Chrome, if you're doing Explorer, you just hit Save or Save As, and then the file will come up. And then you'll notice, obviously, there's no row count issues there. The other thing I want to make note is we do have it where it does highlight as well, based on, you know, if it's a yes, similar to the past reports. And then in terms of the additional columns, E and F are the ones I spoke of before, the new columns. The OB primary care, and then the attendant. So you'll find those being two new columns that you can use.
Alan, one
And then,
oops.
should I pause and take questions?
Or are you still working on early elective delivery here?
Yeah, that was all early elective delivery, yep.
Right. Well, before you go on to the next thing, there was a question here, so just let me know when this is break.
We can do it now. It's a good break because I'll wait to the next one.
Okay. You said that the data extract reports are only going to be available until custom reports are online, but the pivot table functionality sounds really good to me. I would like to see this report available going forward too, possibly. So I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, and I think that is our intention, right?
Pardon me?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page, Lisa. Our intention, when I say short-term, doesn't mean the report will go away. It just means that this is something that we can give the group, like, more immediately, just to be able to have you guys get your data. But it won't go away once custom comes. It's just a short-term fix until the customs come.
Right, and I think the idea right now, yes, is that we're dumping out way more data than you would need all the time, because who wants to go plowing through that many fields to the right all the time? But so that's the fix. I think the use of pivot tables and that would probably continue for sure. It's just that right now we're going to do more of a dump, and then you filter yourself until we can get more customizability, right?
Yeah, but to the question, though, I don't envision us getting rid of this report.
No,
I think it's
correct,
probably something that people
and
may
then,
use more than custom. So
somebody just recently got access to PeriData.net. Now, Pentaho just plain comes with the program, correct? You should be able to get access as long as you have the right what would those be?
credentials.
Clearance, right?
Yeah, the right credentials. You just have to make sure you have the right role that's set up to your profile.
And so the role would be for getting standard and custom reports probably, right? I think.
Standard reports. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions there are right now.
Okay. To get to the new report, that's actually underneath standard reports. If you click on that, and then you'll see where your other report files were, and it's right here called Detailed Data Extract. And again, similar or exactly the same as early elective delivery. You just open it up and then select the date range, and then just click View Report. And then you just open it up. And and this is kind of where, you know, I just want to emphasize it. The intent is that each column is going to represent a data field in the form that is when you create the birth record. So you'll notice going all the way to the right, you know, all the fields and their values that are going to be there. And I just want to make a note, this report is still in progress. There is roughly 300 fields right now that are in this report, and we've kind of decided to release it now as is and continuously add the additional fields, knowing that some people may want some of this information now. So just bear in mind that we'll probably be updating this periodically, and you'll notice that more columns will be added to the right. So what with all this information, and depending on your savviness in working with Excel, obviously you can do filtering capabilities where if you wanted to kind of see, excuse me, everyone you know, at a certain date, or if you wanted to see like all the male or females, like, you know, any, you know, those in Excel, you know, you can do filtering on that. And that's fine for quick type of things. We also kind of broke up the date of birth into date of month and date of year as more of a convenience factor. But the thing that I think is kind of powerful and allows you to kind of slice and dice the data is if you use pivot tables. So I was quickly, in a slow manner, show you how to do that. Assuming you have the right version, you know, pivot tables is underneath the Insert tab or the Insert area, and it's called Pivot Tables. And before you click on that, what I typically do is highlight the whole spreadsheet by clicking on the top left-hand corner here, and then you just click on Pivot Table, and then it'll ask you to select the range, which I've already done. So it's basically putting the range in there that I want to have as part of my data elements. And, you know, I wanted a new worksheet inside of this. So essentially, when you click Pivot Tables and you highlighted the whole table, you don't have to do anything other than at this point just click OK. And then it'll create a new sheet. And then you'll notice to the right here is all the fields that are in that table. And the first thing I would do, because there is a lot of fields and they're all in an order, and this is for me and for those that maybe are used to this type of order, because we try to make the order similar to how you would view it in PeriData when you enter the information, is I actually kind of, if you click on this little widget thing, and there's a thing called, you can sort the columns A through Z, or you can sort it based on how it is in the data. I like to do sort A through Z, so then I know exactly what fields are available to me. So to show an example here is, you know, I'm just going to do something where I want to see how many inductions have happened over the course of the last, you know, 3 months, and who are the attendants that did that. So what I'd first do is kind of create my row, and first I'm going to find attendant, and then I just take attendant and put it into row down here in the corner, and you'll notice that updated the spreadsheet to show the attendance. And then what I would do then is say, okay, then I want to know by month. So I'm going to look for date of birth. Let's see, by month. Here we go, date of birth by month. I'm going to put that as a column. And then I'm also going to put that underneath values here, because you need to specify what it's actually going to count in the value sections. So you'll notice that when I put in the columns, and you can actually do it, I'm going to do a shortcut here. Instead of doing what I just did, you can actually move this into the values, and sometimes you know, if you want to add different types of columns, you can, or you can just say, I don't want to specify it by months, I just want to know how many I guess births in this case happen in all the months. And then if I want to break it out by a month, then I can go and put it in the month, or the columns, excuse me, put the date of birth month in the columns area, and you'll notice that it's breaking it up by September, October, and November. And these are the counts. So these are birth events. And now I want to say how many inductions were there. So I just go and find the inductions. And then I can put that right underneath, so mouse over it, right underneath the, you know, the date of birth month, and that'll show a count of how many in the month of September, how many in the month of October, and how many in the month of November. And then, so this is kind of a way where you can kind of slice and dice it. And anytime you want to adjust your pivot table, you got to make sure you click on the table itself, and then this little properties widget window will show up. If you go outside of the actual pivot table, then you'll notice it hides. I mean, there's other things you can do with this, and what I would say is, as you kind of play with this yourself, feel free to, ask for like a 15-minute, I can work with you guys on it, on something you're trying to create, and we can kind of get something going for you, just so you have a good example that's good for you as an organization. And that's it. So I assume there's probably questions, or will be questions?
Yes, I have a couple here, Alan. One thing that we've sort of talked about, but has come up as a question, is could we change the yeses, nos, and NAs to 0, 1, and 2 to help if you're going to take it to Access or another database, and that it would probably save space in the database you developed. So where are we at with that? I know it was something we briefly mentioned.
Well, that was something that I think I brought up, and then I think we kind of wanted to talk about it and see what made sense for the whole. So it was one of those things where I wasn't sure if we should do that or not. So, but it is something that we can do if it makes sense.
Okay. And the data committee is meeting again next week, so that is something that might be brought up and discussed at that group. Okay. Another question is, how can we take our saved reports from before and use them in this Excel format?
I think what we could do is, look at, what you saved off and try to just recreate them through pivot tables. And, because a lot of which may have been done in the customs is aggregation type of stuff, right? Or listing of birth events based on criterias, and you can do basically all of that by kind of doing pivot tables.
So then you would basically select off on the right-hand side there, let's say there was 10 things that you had wanted to look at, and it may be that it's, right now, this is what we would have called in the, this is not a table, you have a cross tab here. That's what it was called, at least in Oracle. And then the other kind we had were the tables. So you just click along the right for the items that you had wanted in it. Have them included. And you could,
yeah, and you can actually, this is a cross tab, and you can decide that you don't want to do a cross tab, right? Where you want to be more by just taking out the rows, right? And have different ways you want to do counts, right? So there's different ways you can kind of deal with it, but I agree this is more probably for cross tabs, and you probably would want to do something where just you're doing filters here based on what you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would suggest is those are kind of interested to kind of take what they have, set up a time with me, and I can, just pick a report and let's just see what we can do to recreate that report so you can use that in the future.
Okay, and then another question is, when can we expect to have the customized reports available? We have doctors here requesting these reports and want to know when they have specific information that was once a custom report on the old PeriData. And I think that's similar to the other question that was just asked, which is that's where you would start to do the filters on the data that we're going to have in there to try to get at it. Is that correct? Can you, once you do your filters, then you could save that as a file name, correct?
Exactly.
do that, and then when you dump down another set of date ranges or something, it would be there?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean, you can first create the report to do the date range that you care about to slice and dice it, and then within that you can actually be more granular about it. So I mean, I really believe that a lot of what may be out there that people are looking for can be accomplished in the short term to be able to get that feedback to their doctors. And that's really the goal, is trying to get that quick turnaround so then people can help their team out.
Okay, another couple of questions here. Back on the early elective delivery, how do you tell what patients are in the numerator and denominator for the early elective delivery? I don't know if you'd be able to go back and show, that was the green that was showing up on that. I did happen to enter Ellie Elective on there, who did have an elective delivery.
Well, the report for early elective delivery should act the same as what you have been used to in terms of expectation. So, it's really looking at the actual columns to determine, which one, is in the numerator, which one's, which birth event is in the denominator. So if I open up this report, you look at these two columns. So this should be exactly the same of how people were using it in the past. And if for whatever reason it's not, please let me know. But this is our understanding of what it was.
Okay, and so far, again, this is, while it's fairly realistic patients in the test environment there, clearly we didn't have as many as you would. So you might actually have maybe, I don't know, 10 in the denominator, or maybe only 0 or 1 up there in the numerator, but that would be how you could tell. The other next question is, am I correct in understanding that the checkpoint summary report will be available in the pivot table format eventually to identify patient-level data? That's another question.
The checkpoint summary one, that we're actually hopefully starting that next week, so stay tuned. We have to evaluate that closer. So there are pivot, there are cross tabs in that?
Yeah, well, I think the one
Lisa?
question is, it would first of all look like what you're showing here now, like we had on Checkpoint. You could see all the patients, so you could find patient-level data. So the idea is it would be built out like it was. But then, can you do a pivot table from this stuff that comes out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so essentially for this one, you would do, it's a little bit different. What I would typically do is delete that header and then, grab those columns. Or you can always do the full thing and then just adjust it to say B, or not B, but 2 instead of, you just want to make sure you get the right columns. And then, let's see here. Oh, actually, did I not grab it? Should be. It looks like there's one of the columns might be But anyways, you should be able to, there might be one column that might have a merge on it. Actually, it looks like there's one column missing a header. So anyways, yes, you should be able to do that like any other spreadsheet.
Okay. Now, if we can also, two questions. Can we send out a list of all reports currently pre-developed in the system? Is one question that came up. So that actually, that's what's in that standard reports, right?
Correct. Essentially, all the standard reports are out there right now, created. So they're all right here, and then we have some areas where the CMS measure summary, excuse me, delivery summary, and then the quality indicator summary that we had to break out, and those were called the runs, whether you wanted to do a run on just the overall summary of an aggregate, or did you want to have it aggregated by attendant and facility and bio provider. But all the reports that are, I guess, non-Excel, if you will, they're PDFs, are all out there available for people to start using.
Okay. And so again, someday we may change the semantics of this because I think standard and custom are becoming confusing. But to Alan's point, we have what were the old standard reports pretty much all done there. And again, those are PDFs, whereas the stuff that we're showing today, either the early elective delivery and then what we're calling that detailed data, that is what becomes your information by which to do any of your custom reporting. Would that be correct?
Correct.
So this is where, because we're allowing almost the entire data dump with a possible exception of a few fields here, and we'll see how that goes if people do need a couple more, you can pull all of that down and then start filtering or creating pivot tables in order to redevelop the kinds of custom reports that you had in the past. The data committee will also be looking at, are there things that a lot of people use all the time that we can create into pre-made things like what has been done on early elective deliveries. That's something that we'll be talking about for the future. And then it asks, is there a number for help or contact if we need help with creating a report?
Yeah, just request it through the help desk.
And do we have that number right offhand, Alan? I probably don't even have it on me.
I will log in and show. Oops. So it should be, when you log in, obviously you can either click on the email, which I'd recommend, or you can call the number here.
Okay, so that would be 414-571-88.
751.
Oops, sorry, I'm dyslexic. 771-8875. Thank you.
Correct. Yep.
Now, because I'm a putz with this, it looks like there's a hand raised, and I don't know if Barb or Ann can either unmute or whatever so the person can ask.
I can't, but I think Barb can. It sounds like people are off of mute now.
I think it was Jennifer. Did you have a question? Can you ask?
Nope, I'm okay.
Okay, thank you. We do have another question, and it is, can we please review one more time from the beginning? Now that you're on this page here, please review how to open the folders in Pentaho.
Right here?
Yeah, well, why don't you go back to just the part where you were logged in so they can even see from standard reports over to Pentaho? Can you do it from the beginning?
Sure. So you're in PeriData, and then just on the left-hand side, you see Standard Report Server. You click on that link, and it thinks I'm still logged in because I haven't logged out, so I'll log out of here just so. All right, so let me just start over here. And then you click on this, and then
And remember to hit the login button, not the enter button, because that'll jam you up.
and then click on Browse Files. And then click on the little arrow right next to it. So if you click on just public, it's every time, maybe the better way of saying it, if you click on the name or the folder instead of the arrow, you're always going to see what files or what reports are within that folder. So you always want to click on the little arrow so it drops down. So then you'll go to standard reports, and then if you click on that, then you'll see the standard reports that are underneath there. And then if you click on the arrow again, you'll see there's some subfolders that we purposely made for some of the reports that had more than one report related to the topic. And then again, if you just want to see what reports are within those folders, you just click on, the name or the actual folder itself, and then you'll see the reports always in the files there. You'll always have to click on one of these files or reports to be able to open up an actual report. Is that helpful?
Yeah, and then is it usually the best to go into open in a new window on the right there when you're going to want to open something?
I prefer that. I think it's just you kind of can try both to see what works best for you. I prefer it only because it allows me to open up a report and still have this landing page to open up another report if I have to do that.
Okay, so that's how you get to them. And again, the vast majority of those are PDF files that are just getting the big information out, but the detailed data extract is the one that you're going to want to be using as you pull in all the data and then start making your tables from there. Now I see there is another hand raised. Can someone unmute that one?
Can you see it now, Lisa? Is it unmuted now?
Oh, yeah. Sandra, did you have a question? Sandra? Apparently not. Okay. So to sum up a couple things that Alan was saying, that the next priority is, well, the two priorities right now are to get the rest of the columns finished for the detailed data extract, and I believe we'll be sending out a notice when all the columns are in fact out there. But right now you can start to see what's there and start digging around in that. And then before the end of the year here, the checkpoint pre-made ones should be up, correct?
That's our target, yes.
Okay. So I think that, Alan, was that primarily what you were wanting to show today?
Yes.
Okay. So if there are further questions, please either raise your hand or type in the question. Okay, Sandra's got her hand raised again. Can you unmute that one?
I don't have the list of attendees, but Barb can unmute her.
And I also see Mary Beck has her hand raised. Sandra, are you there? Zabrowitz? Still nothing. Mary is asking, will there be a report for benchmarking data? And I'm not completely sure I know what that is. We have the reports, unless
Aggregate reports, maybe?
maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we can ask, let's see, a comparison from our organization to other organizations. Okay, the closest thing we have right now, that would be the aggregate reports. And so that was a little later priority for us to finish up. Alan, do you remember when on the priority list that was?
That's something that we haven't prioritized yet, and we're going to talk about it next week.
I think. Okay, and then is this webinar going to be online? I think we are recording it, right? So it will be available?
Correct.
Okay, good. And then someone says, I'm trying to open a delivery summary right now, but not being prompted for a date range. When and or where does this information get entered? Now, I've always had a date range down there, so I'm not sure why.
Delivery summary?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Oh man, everybody's saying their stuff's not working right at the moment. I don't know if we just did something to it.
It's possible one of my business analysts pushed up something that may have crashed as he's testing it, so it's possible that it's freezing up the...
Okay. And then I have somebody who says they're not getting the same page when they log on to Pentaho to get Pentaho Business Analytics.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, they said when they are not seeing the same looking page as what you had. It says it looks like Pentaho Business Analytics, or is that what it always says at the front?
Say if I go back to the home.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, over there. They need to hit Browse Files probably, right?
Correct.
Okay, maybe that was it. It will say Business Analytics at first, and then when you browse, then you're going to start seeing the PeriData stuff.
There you go.
Okay, it's coming up. I don't know what that was about.
So that's where you should be seeing the beginning date. So if it's not doing that, I'd suggest going out and coming back in once in a while. It might
I mean, feel free to, write a ticket and tell me what browser you're using, and we can always follow up with you with a go-to meeting to see, it's always sometimes good to see what you're seeing, so.
Right. Yes, I would definitely advise that because Alan has helped by looking at the exact screen that I've been on to see what seems to be the problem. Because, again, a lot of us are working in slightly different computer environments at our organizations. So he can help troubleshoot if something doesn't seem to be coming up right.
Yes, and if they have questions, this is Ann Conway, they should be going to the PeriData Net help desk and writing the ticket as Alan described. The questions, the WAPC questions email is no longer available, so questions should be going directly to Ancilla.
Right, that way we can track what issues seem to be out there and so forth directly, rather than running through WAPC now that this site is up and running and functional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
Are you there, Lisa?
yeah, I'm trying to answer a question here, sorry.
Okay.
There's someone, for the person who just asked the question, can you type in what your questions are since we aren't seeming to pick you up on the microphone?
Say that again, please.
I'm talking to the person who, she had her hand raised, but it wasn't coming up here. So she's going to type in a question now.
Okay. Sorry.
So she must be typing. Okay. So I'll await that. Let's see. I was wondering if we can take the standard reports and edit them to save as our regular reports. And I think the answer to that is you would just save the file for the date you're looking at, correct?
Correct.
So yes, the so-called standard reports that are basically PDF files, let's say you just wanted November for your facility. You can go ahead and save that PDF and call it, whatever you want, November 2014 delivery summary or something like that. So you don't have to do these data extracts if you're just wanting the overall summation of what's going on. This all detailed data is useful to you when you're going right after patient-level specific data or a piece of information that's not generally contained on one of those standard reports. And then what if I only want some of the data and more other data to that report? What do I do if I want a report, do not want a report as it exists? Then you're probably going to need to do the detailed data extract and create a report that meets the needs for what you're looking for. Alan, do you have any, did I sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for the most part, that's kind of how it was in the past. The thing that we're trying to fix in the short term is provide you that data for things that you were doing in the past that were a little bit more custom for your organization, obviously until we get custom reports up. So hopefully, in the next few months we can identify some key reports that are not here that are what we call quote-unquote standard, but reports that may have been written by organizations that are more specific to them, that maybe we end up making it more standard for everyone else.
Okay. And then, Barb, can you unmute Sandy, please? She thinks her phone's working now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for being so difficult. I have so many questions. Every report typically that I have to make is a customized report based on what they are looking for that particular day. So it just seems to me that it would be really cumbersome to take a detailed report with 300 whatever fields when I only really want 5 or 10. I don't want to have to sit and look through them. I mean, I'm sure eventually after doing that for a while I'd have them all memorized, but is there any other way to do this? Can I take any other report and modify that?
I think the only thing that I would recommend is if you we can take this offline, but I can see what I can do to help you in that situation. Why don't we just take that one offline if that's okay, and I can just work with you.
Okay. Another question I have is, you know how we were able to see the custom reports that we had when we went online to PeriData? Will we be able to see our reports here? Are we keeping those on our C drive or our network, or will we be able to see them here online? So will I be able to access them from somewhere other than my PC at work?
Well, once we have identified the approach of custom reports, then the intent is for each organization to be able to recreate those custom again. So then it would probably be in a platform that's not on your PC. It would probably be Pantao or similar. So.
Okay, so that's the plan or the thought to do that again.
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing is the data committee will be looking at, clearly there's going to be, of those fields, there's probably certain things that we grab almost all the time. So let's just say it might be the attendant, the baby's date of birth, and mom's name,
right,
etc. That would be one of our first things too, would be to make one of those that has all of that stuff in as sort of a base. But again, given the constraints of this system, we want to at least be able to let you get out all your stuff and do something with it until such time as we can get a little bit more of this back together. Okay, I see we're just about to the end of the established time here. I'd take one last call for any additional questions. And then if there are none, then I think we would wrap it up. Okay. I'm not seeing any more hands raised, and I don't see any more questions. So I think with that, we will wrap this session up. Thanks very much for your patience, and hopefully that these reports will help you get started. And again, we will be in touch when all of the columns are in on the detailed data extract. Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.